have you been?
Busy. How
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I seen all your hoarder house stuff. How is that?
The hoarder house is a project for sure.
You still working on that one? I mean,
We
that's
are.
that's got to be
Yeah, we're getting ready for phase 2 next week. So phase 1 was to get all of the Christmas stuff out.
just the Chris just the Christmas stuff was phase 1.
Just the Christmas stuff was phase 1. It
Wow.
took us 3 full days, almost 30 hours of activity manpower at the house.
Wow.
4 to 6 adults for about 30 hours clearing that out. That's just the Christmas stuff.
That's just Christmas. Wow.
That's
That's insane. So how I seen a couple of your stories on it.
Yeah.
Like how packed was it? Was it like a lifetime full of stuff, or what's kind of the story behind it?
So it was a lifetime full of stuff. So the house was built in 1949. So it was a house full of stuff since 1949.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
the
That's a
same
lot
family
of years.
lived there. It was parents, and then one of the sons inherited, and then he lived there, and then he passed away, and then another sibling inherited, and now we're clearing it out.
Now you're clearing it out.
Now we're clearing it out.
That's crazy. My dad got like that at the end. He just, it wasn't hoarder yet, but there's one time he's in the hospital. I was going to go clean the house out, and he got word of it and had somebody go by and lock one, because he always had 2 locks. Had somebody lock the second one so I couldn't get in, because I was going to go clean out plants. I was going to get rid of his cats, and just what I wanted to do is spend a week
Aw,
cleaning
not the
it.
cats.
Well, they were. I had never actually seen them, because like one was just living in a closet, so the whole closet, like he wasn't able to care for them, right? Like it was
Aw,
gross.
okay.
It was gross, because I like the one day he got so pissed. There was like a stuffed animal, but it was a very realistic looking cat. I physically even after he passed and we were cleaning stuff out, I still can't say I actually seen a cat. There was a cat there. I heard it, but I never seen it. But I remember saying there one day, I'm like, Dad, is that your cat? He's like, I ain't that old yet. I was like, okay, just making sure you weren't trying to feed this thing, because but his, it got bad, but I was going to go by and I was just going to take the plants, because he had just gotten a ton of plants. They were all over and it was just too much. The cats, give it a thorough clean, and I was going to have my crew go by and just repaint the main living area, just freshen it up, make it fresh, clean for him. It hadn't been painted since, I think I painted it like 15 years old when him and my mom separated, and I didn't do it very good. It was bad. But it was peach. I
So
painted
then you
it
went
gray.
into painting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know why, but it was, I need all that stuff. I'm like, you can't, because I was worried about the cats tripping him, dog tripping him or something, him falling down the steps. It was a split level, but it was a house built in 1980 on a really bad lot that was like, the slant. Well, they had to bring the fire department over, because the EMS, when we took him to the hospital, could not get him out. They had to bring firefighters, because they couldn't. The driveway is so steep, and the split
no.
level and everything. It was like 85 steps going into the house.
Oh my
Was so
gosh.
bad that we warned them ahead of time. We're like, hey, because the 2 girls they sent as medics were like, thank you so much, because the firefighters had to get him out, or
Wow.
get him when they brought him home from the hospital, get him back in. It was that bad. Just the steps, just the way the house was. That wasn't because of debris or nothing, but I wanted to go by and kind of clean it up, and he lost it, because people get very emotionally attached to that stuff.
They do, which is why I purge my house once a year.
Tell you what,
Purge the closet. Even my husband he forces me to do even more than I do, which is good, because we need it, and because people collect things.
Yeah,
you don't know how much you collect, and then all of a sudden you look around and you haven't cleaned the house for 2 days, and you have 80 things laying everywhere, and it's like, why is all of this stuff here?
Yeah.
But humans just have stuff, and they have things. And this particular client of mine, well, the brother of my client who had passed away, had some kind of mental disability, and I think probably undiagnosed. And anyway, so he was very fixated on Christmas.
Okay.
And so he collected Christmas. Like, I've never seen that much Christmas stuff in my, like, most stores don't have even that
Yeah,
much
yeah.
Christmas stuff. And it was very unreal. But it was something that we had to do. And yeah, it's interesting how much stuff you collect.
Do you find that after you did that house, you went home and got rid of a bunch of crap of your own? Did you feel the urge to purge?
I kind of, sort of. So we ended up selling. We got new furniture and then sold a bunch of furniture, but the furniture we bought was less than what we got rid of.
Mhm.
So it opened up our space, and I was feeling, a lot better. Like, you feel very claustrophobic, and
Mhm.
you literally couldn't even walk through the house. And when you
Yeah.
got down to the basement, there was no walking through it. I mean, it's just. And the second clean out will take probably 3 40-yard dumpsters.
Wow.
And that's after 75% of the stuff in the house is gone.
Yeah. See, I wholesaled my dad's with pretty much everything. I went in and dug through. I wanted family documents.
Yes.
He was adopted in 1945, something like that. And I wanted documents. Well, he didn't fixate on Christmas. He saved paperwork. So I started Taekwondo in 1990. He had my first board that I broke and a filing cabinet in the garage. I took home like 5 filing cabinets. I went through everything. He had notebooks on every, like, went to dinner with Pat, had chicken, like, on his dating life for 40 plus years, like little day, the little
Memories.
yeah, all sorts of stuff like that was just nothing anyone else would want but him. But I had to dig through that because he would misplace. Like, there was one file that said taxes, airway, blah, blah, blah. So we had a house in Breckenridge Hills. Well, it wasn't. It was actually a newspaper article on a great grandmother, which I was like, well, So then I started digging through everything. So I'm like, okay, he was getting, because he passed at 80, almost 83. I was like, he was mixing up where he was putting files. So that was what I wanted out of the house. And I had a big dumpster brought to the house, my house. And as I brought stuff home, my wife and I go through it in the garage and then throw stuff. And we filled the dumpster. But then I went into like manic mode and told her, I was like, we're purging the house too.
Yes.
We threw so much stuff away. And I don't have a lot of clutter in my house. I
I don't either.
open it, but I still went through closets. I'm like, we don't need this. Like, we just did Summer Smash, so we all got duffel bags from First Form. So we have like this huge thing of bags now. And I'm like, yep, these are getting purged here soon.
Yeah.
I find it when you deal with that type of clutter, you get that urge to just keep, like,
Yeah.
it was rough. Because I ended up wholesaling the house with what was left. I just wanted personal documents to put together. No one in the family, because my dad was adopted, the background story on the adopted grandparents, the ones I knew, is fuzzy. It was only just little stories he knew, because his brother was older. He died. There was actually a third family member I found. I didn't even know that. There was a lot of stuff we come across. It was odd. That I've got to do some research on. Like, I had a friend send me a thing the other day that apparently the Boyer family was involved in something with the Statue of Liberty coming over. And I was like, and she's like, huh? And I was like, well, Frank was adopted, so I'm not really a Boyer. I was like, but that's funny because I found documents that my grandfather's grandfather or grandfather's grandfather, I forgot what the name was, but was from New York. And I was like, I got to chase this down now. So that's something this winter, me and my kids are going to go through it, because we found a lot of interesting stuff in the documents. But that was the thing I wanted. I was like, everybody around the family was like looking at things they could sell or collectibles or something to keep. And I'm like,
Yes.
I don't give a crap. I don't want anything out of this house, but I want documents to follow the family tree. Yeah. I was like, no one ever did a family tree. We don't know. My dad talked about doing it for years in the 80s and 90s. I was like, but it's like tech now. We can find a lot. I was like, there's a lot of info out there. So that's going to be pretty cool. But that's what's hard. But we purged. We threw so much crap away. Yeah. I couldn't do it. Yeah. I was watching your videos of that, and I'm like, whoo, it was making me breathe heavy watching it.
It was really something else. And then there was a neighbor who said, introduced himself, and I introduced
Mm-hmm.
myself, and he said, "Oh, you're the real estate agent." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, I didn't know real estate agents did this." And I said, "Well, some of them do, some of them don't." And he said, and he was an older man in a wheelchair, and he said, "I have my mother's house that we still haven't done anything with because it's filled." He said, "Can I have your card?"
So you're getting another one.
So I said, "Sure." And I gave him my card and chatted with him. But it's overwhelming when
Mm-hmm.
you are left with a property, or even if it's your own property and you're trying to move on, because that's what happens with people. Maybe they move into assisted living or with a
Yeah.
relative or something. And then they're older, they're not capable,
Yeah.
they don't have the resources, they don't know the resources. And
Yes.
so it's just something that it's very common. It
Mm-hmm.
is these estate sale people, when I was talking to, and I spoke with multiple, and they walk through the house, they do, they have a following. These
Yes.
estate sale people, they have people that follow them waiting for the next one. And they do estate sale after, like,
Yep.
multiple a week. And
It's a huge thing. People,
it's,
yeah.
it's huge. And they go in, and I'm impressed with their knowledge
Yeah.
also, because they can look at a piece of furniture and tell you what year it is. And they can, like, there were these figurines in the house, and one of the sellers, because the house was inherited by two family members, and one of them wanted these figurines that I had never heard of. I don't know anything about
Yeah.
collectibles.
Me either.
It's just not my thing. But one of them wanted these collectibles that she thought were in the house, and they were called Yadros, something like that. Anyway, so we're looking for them, and one of the estate sale people was pointing, like, I would have never even known, and was pointing at, "Yep, that's a Yadro, that's a Yadro, that's a Yadro, that's a and so I was able to collect all of these, and I'm going to ship them to her so
Oh,
she
awesome.
can have them, package them and ship them, because they're these glass porcelain figure. Never
Yeah.
heard of them, never seen them, but they're, and she was saying, "Oh yeah, that one's about that value, and that one's about that." And these estate sale people, they know
Oh,
these things, because this is their job, to go into people's houses. And we have a lot of these estate sale companies around St. Louis,
Yes.
and each of them are extremely busy doing
The amount of stuff.
the
we keep.
amount of stuff that
Mhm.
people collect,
Yep.
and the jobs that these estate sale people do after the fact is it was very eye-opening for me. I have had houses before, but lots of times when I come in on these houses that are inherited, maybe they've already been cleaned out, they've already had a dumpster in there, or it's just, but there are so many people with so many things.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
unreal.
And if you study really, really wealthy, successful people, you'll find out they don't have a lot of things. They have assets. They
Yes.
don't. That was one of my biggest takeaways from Jesse Itzler. His wife, have you ever heard of Jesse Itzler?
No.
His wife founded Spanx.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his wife founded Spanx. He owns, I believe, the Jets. I'm probably getting that wrong, so I'm not a sports guy. But he talks about when they went to being minimalist. He goes, we just had so much stuff. Would we need this? And I'm very big on that. Like I was talking to my kids the other day. I was like, hey, I want to build a house at some point. I was like, but here's what we want. It's very minimalistic because we're never home. We travel with martial arts. We're always gone. We were in Atlanta last weekend. I'm driving to Chattanooga this weekend at like 10 a.m. We're going down there. Like I was like, we don't need a bunch of crap at the house. We're not there, but it's a generational thing too. I think it's a little bit that older generation. My grandfather kept a lot of stuff. My dad anything that he thought, oh, this could be collectible. And I learned, that's how I know a little bit about collectibles, because my dad collected it wasn't collectible. That was like the dead fire way to know if something was not valuable. He had a bunch of, is it quarters? Quarters. And I guess some quarters can be worth more. I don't know. I told my son, I was like, this winter, because we go like 100 mile an hour on tournaments and everywhere under the sun. And then it just like stops for like 2 to 2.5 months. And we almost kind of lose our minds because we're like at the house going, what do we do? And I told him, I was like, we'll go through this winter and we'll figure out all the coins, all that stuff. Cause that's what my dad was like, oh, Ben can fit. So I kept those. I was like, you can go through them this winter. People were like, oh, your dad had a bunch of jewelry in the safe. Yeah, it's all trash. It's all junk. None of it's good gold. I just had to laugh.
That's
So I was
what
like,
they ask, though, the estate sale people. Is there any jewelry?
yep.
Is there any jewelry? Is there any jewelry? That's what they kept asking. Is there any jewelry? I'm like, I don't know if there's
Yep.
jewelry. Like, I'm not even touching this house.
Mhm.
I've got my N95 mask on and my gloves and my booties on my
I know. I
feet.
saw
And
that.
I'm
It was
like,
hilarious.
so I'm like, you're welcome to walk through. And they do. And they walked in with no booties, no gloves, no
Mhm.
mask. I
Yeah.
mean, I've had asthma issues since the very first time I was in that house.
Yeah.
Like it triggered my asthma, and I have not been able to kick it since. It's
Mhm.
been like lingering, and I'm just like, ah.
That's what would happen when I went to my dad's. It would tear me up. And I'm like, Dad, you're on oxygen. We need to clean the house out. But it was
Yes.
really hard to find people to come in and clean the house out with him living in it
Oh.
because they're like, well, they're really connected to all their stuff. And I'm like, I'll get him out of the house. I don't care. Cause that's what I was trying to do when he was in the hospital, get surgery once. I was like, I'm gonna go through and get rid of all of it. Cause he's old. When I was younger, he was young enough he could carry the crap back in. I was like, now he's an age, he can't carry it back in. So if I get it out, it's out.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was hard because I was trying to find someone to come in and like, hey Frank, what's this box? We probably don't need this, do we? Because like he would agree to do that with me, but I did not have like 7 weeks to go sit over there with him for 10 hours a day. I was like, I was trying to find someone, hire him. And you would think with as big as the estate sale part was, because I agree, those guys are busy. I mean, they can't do them fast enough. But most of the houses like his, I got lucky. A wholesaler we know, remodeler, did a house 3 doors up on the same street. So I was able to call him. He was already familiar with comps. He was already familiar with the neighborhood, the houses. So it was a very easy, basically, I just had him on call. I'm like, hey, when he passes, the house goes to me. You just pay it off and it's yours. Because I get it. You got to clean it out. It was bad. It was bad enough work-wise that so everybody's like, oh, why don't you can paint it. You could do this and you could have it as a rental. I'm like, I don't even want to mess with it.
I don't think people realize how much work is involved. I mean,
They
first of
don't.
all, I called so many estate sale companies to talk to them about, because I needed 2 phases of the clean out. One was all the Christmas stuff and one was the non-Christmas stuff, the furnishings and the other figurines and the things that were left behind. And I had so many estate sale companies tell me no. The amount of labor involved in just gathering and removing and identifying the items was excessive, that it would eat up all the profit.
Yeah.
I mean, when there is that much stuff, so we had to find somebody that was willing, and we did end up somebody to do it, but it was very difficult to find somebody. It took a while, and I was just because it is so intensive with time and energy.
Yeah.
And try just to even when you have 10,000 things, what is of value and what is not of value? And if somebody's actually going to sort through that,
good for them. I'm not.
That's a lot of effort, I will tell you.
I tried to explain that to people at my dad's house. Everybody's like, oh, you get the whole, you could make this and make that. I'm like, no, I have a guy that'll buy it. We've agreed to the price, which pays the house off. So I walk away with I don't have to mess with nothing, because my dad had refied it recently, which who the hell gave him a refi on that house? Blew me away. As bad as the house was, it's like they had to walk out and go, yep, looks good, because I was bad. And I was like, good. I just want documents. They're like, well, with these books, because I had a first edition, my brother-in-law, which, sorry, Kenny, because I know you watch my stuff, gave me when I was a kid, first edition Hardy Boys books. Girlfriend them snagged them out of the house before we could even turn. I was like, they're probably worth something, but they're not worth enough for me to drive somewhere to do. I just wanted documents. But like you said, there's so much stuff. What's worth something? What's not? You know, I would say 80% of what they probably pull out of most houses is Goodwill price point
At best.
And the labor, like I get it, the labor that they put into doing all of it. Yeah, I bet it would be hard for them to, they've probably got a pretty tight little system of figuring out if it's worth them messing with, because that could go south on them really fast.
Yeah, and it also makes a difference if the house is in good condition or if it's not. If if it's 90 degrees in or 100 in the middle of a St. Louis summer and you're asking a crew of people to clean out a house and the house is not sanitary and now you're asking them to put a mask on
Yep.
and it's 90 degrees and then loading and carrying and up and down steps and it's just there are people that A won't do it or B will do it and they will charge you a lot of money. So
Yeah.
it's been a process for sure trying to get this house ready and on the market. And unfortunately, I feel like it's just and maybe that's just the nature of just humans. We just collect these things and then we don't think about them until it's too
Yeah.
late. That's why I'm very mindful. Every year I'm purging my house. I'm purging my house. What else can I get rid of? How many things can I sell on Marketplace or just drop off to Goodwill?
Yep.
Which is what we really try to do. And my husband, I'll like start a pile and all of a sudden the pile will disappear. So I'm not even asking what he does with
Yeah.
it anymore.
Yeah. Good.
It's just so
My wife every once in a while will come in, I'll be going through my closet and I probably every 3 months, I just go through everything and purge my closet and she'll be like, we're doing this today. Okay. And I'm like, I just tired of looking at it because I only wear
Yeah.
the same couple t-shirt.
yeah.
I don't need it all. I'll
Yeah.
just go through and start. And I do it at the house. Like I'll go out in the garage, start pitching stuff. Like we don't need this,
Yes.
especially after I go into one or even just seeing the video you put up. I was like, I need to clean something.
Yeah.
I do it at Taekwondo school. I'll go through. I'll be like, well, we haven't used these in 6 months. Woo, in the dumpster.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're done. I'm done dusting it, done looking at it.
It's always the garage though. So like inside of the house, my husband is very proactive
Mhm.
in trying to keep the house cleaned out and
Yeah.
get the things out of the basement and all of the things. And then I go into the garage and we have a 3-car garage.
Mhm.
And I think people can relate to this because you get a 3-car garage and you think you're going to use it and put
Yeah.
2 cars in there and everything's going to be great. And I can literally drive my car in
That's
and
it.
I have enough room to open the doors and that's about it.
Yeah.
And my husband doesn't park in the garage.
Yeah.
So out of a 3-car garage, he has taken over probably 2+ cars of it. And I have enough space for my car to park because my car, we don't want the hail claim on
Yep.
my car.
Yeah.
That's for certain. So I get to use the garage and he parks and he's never parked in the garage.
Yeah.
And
But
the
you got a
reason we
3-car
bought
garage.
a house was because we had a 2-car garage
Mhm.
and it was the same thing. I would park and he would use the other side. And I thought, okay, we're going to get a 3-car garage so we can both park. And then
No.
he fills the space. He fills up the 3rd bay and then moves over into the
Mhm.
2nd bay. And now so every once a year though, and this is his job, I don't even help
Yeah,
him with the
yeah.
garage
You don't
unless
touch
it's
it.
my gardening tools and I keep my little section cleaned. But once a year, he'll go into the garage and I'll hear curse words. But this is all him.
Uh-huh.
This is all him. So the garage is his basement.
Yeah.
And the basement is where my problem is.
Yeah.
Where I don't want to see it anymore. So I just throw it in the basement. And then after 12 months, I've just thrown 10,000 things into the
Yep.
basement.
Now I gotta clean
Now
it
I
out.
got to clean it out.
It is. It's just kind of human nature for us. I
It is.
think that really does happen. And you go into a room one day and you're like, all right, it's time.
Yeah.
So last time you're on, I think we talked, you were going to Paris.
Yes.
Did you go to France or just Paris?
We just went to Paris.
Just went to Paris?
We
How
just
was
went
that?
to Paris. It's beautiful. One of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen in my life.
Mhm.
It's interesting. It's so different there.
Yeah.
It's it's Paris. Obviously, it's different than the United States. It's France is its own thing, but Paris is in and of itself very different. So it's interesting. It's wonderful places to see, wonderful food to eat. We were eating at this really nice restaurant. It wasn't like too fancy. It wasn't too fancy because they let Americans in.
Yeah. Nope, I get it. I've been there. I get it. Yep.
So we walk in and they do dinner late there.
Yes.
So dinner is usually like restaurants don't even open until 7. And lots of times reservations aren't at their busiest capacity until like 9 to 10 p.m.
Mhm.
And it's hard when you try to adjust to the time zone. And so we go out and we're trying to do dinner 7, 8 o'clock, and one of our favorite restaurants, we're sitting there and we're eating dinner, and there were probably maybe 4 other couples in the restaurant. And it's a pretty big restaurant. So they opened at 7. We had a reservation. We were eating dinner. And we were finishing up, so it was around 8 o'clock, and in walks this group of men. And I was trying to eat my dessert because I always get dessert. I always allow myself dessert in France.
No, there you go. Yeah.
I mean, that's just I gained 20 pounds. I come home, but I've eaten the most delicious foods that I will never eat again in my life. Or maybe if I go back to the same restaurant. But in walks these group of guys, and these dudes are big. I mean, these are big dudes. And I'm looking up and I just see this mass of masculinity walk next to me. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And they had walked past me like quickly enough and went and sat at the table behind us. And so my husband is facing me and I'm just like we're facing each other. And my husband leans over and says, "That's Mark Wahlberg."
What? No way.
And I said, "What?"
You're like, spin.
He said, "Yeah, that's Mark Wahlberg." He said, "That's Marky Mark."
Oh, don't call him that.
I said, and I turned and I looked at him and we made eye contact. We had a moment.
Yeah.
And I turned around and I said, "Dennis, who?" I was with my husband.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I'm doing this.
Oh,
And then I take my phone and I'm like pretending I'm doing, and then I like lean over and I get him and I wanted to say something to him, but the restaurant was empty.
Yeah.
And he had like these 5 or 6 big dudes around him. And I'm thinking, well, they're probably not going to dive tackle me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, do you follow him on Instagram or Facebook or anything? He is as handsome in person and he looks better in person than he does on camera. I was just like, wow, that man is, for being older like us.
Yeah.
He is fit. He is handsome. The way he walks and carries himself and the way I was just like,
he's a real deal.
He's a real deal. He is a very successful man.
His company, his clothing company, he put up, forgot what the reel was, but I dove into the comments and I was dying at all the people, 40, 50 years old, all the ladies.
Oh, sure.
Losing their shit. I forgot what it was. Was it with his... Oh, they did a fit. He was doing a fit check. Because I bought some of their stuff and his... Mom, there was a lady with him and she kind of like tugged at the string or something like that on the pants. Something like that. It was something like that. And I was like, I gotta see the thirsty comments. And I went through and I was sitting there with my wife reading them, laughing our asses off these women. They were like, oh my God, dream job. I mean, it was hilarious.
Yes.
It was hilarious.
Women are very, you get us in a room with an attractive man.
Dude, the comments were funny.
I mean, it's like we can be very unruly creatures. We're very, but yeah, he was there filming and I'm messaging my kids and my son messaged back and said, "Tell him I loved him in Ted too." I said, "No, I'm not going to say that." But, and I don't even think I've ever seen Ted 2. But he was there filming. He's doing, what was the series? A family.
That's a family spy one or whatnot, right? Yeah. I don't think it's come out yet.
No, they were filming that,
Yeah.
and it was and so he was doing multiple days of filming, and it was also Fashion Week. So we always go there, and
cool.
It's usually Fashion Week. So there's always celebrities. Like my husband was walking down the street the next morning, and he saw Ricky Gervais, and it's dead in the morning because people don't wake up until 9 or 10 a.m. And my husband's out walking at 7 a.m. grabbing coffee or whatever, and he walks by, and my husband says, "Hey, Ricky," and the guy's like, "Hey, how's it going?" It's just there's just celebrities everywhere in Paris, and especially if you go during Fashion Week, because there are a lot of people that come in to be guest speakers or to be at the events or things like that. But he happened to be filming, which was interesting.
That's really cool. That's neat to run into or to see someone like that. You kind of get caught in that. You don't like, you want to say what's up, but at the same time, you just want to leave him alone. Like, well, I have a knack.
I didn't want to leave him alone. Yeah. I promise you.
I have a knack for that though. Like seeing, like I'll catch stars. Like if we're somewhere with something, I'm like, oh, look at that. Well, I was like, well, we'll say what's up. I'm like, no, I ain't gonna bug them. Like, I don't really give a shit. Like it's cool. Hey, I see them. But at the same time, it's like, when you hear some of them talk about how much people talk to them or come up and
Yes.
how people can be, it's got to wear on
And
you.
I thought about that too. I
Yeah.
thought about, man, I would love to walk over there, but he's just trying to eat dinner. And he came in before the crowd for a reason. And I thought, I don't want to be that person. I'll just get my,
Yeah.
get him on camera,
Yeah.
my little.
And he's probably like, thank you. Just get it. Yeah.
But yes, it was so Paris was great.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's really cool. And that's, you wouldn't have thought like, you wouldn't be expecting Wahlberg to walk in. So that's really cool. How do you do with the, this is the fun thing. So we went to Cardiff for our Team USA stuff. I've been to Europe before, so I kind of knew, because the meals and they're at like 5-6 o'clock at night, the world comes to life. People come out of their houses. Like my students and teens are like, what is there like something going on? I'm like, no, this is European culture. They're out, they're going to have a meal and meet with friends and talk. And they're like, is this some type of, I was like, the stores closed, the restaurants, so like that European life. I absolutely love that. When I went to Paris for the first time, when I come home, I was the only person that got off the plane that wasn't excited. We were right out of high school. Everybody was excited to see their families. I was like, I loved all the walking.
Oh yes.
I loved the culture.
Yes.
I loved the dinners. You wasn't just shovel food and go. It was multiple courses. It was take your time.
Small portions.
Yes, smaller portions, because they actually got really mad. Our tour guide or whatever, one of the restaurants brought all our stuff out on a big plate, and she was pissed because she's like, no, that is not how we eat in Paris, because it's small and it's one and then the next and the next, several courses. How do you like that c'est la vie lifestyle or whatever, where it's the world just kind of stops to have everybody's having their dinner, and it's just a totally different function than like here in the US. Like when you come back to the US, you realize how much we just go.
Yes, we do go, and then we come home, and then we're exhausted, and then we don't want to go to the gym, and then we order takeout or get DoorDash, or throw something together because you're exhausted at the end of the day. But the end of the day is where they do all the things.
Yes.
So it's I didn't mind it. The only thing I didn't like was that it is hard for me to adjust to the time change.
Really?
It is I don't do well with large time adjustments. So that was the only thing that I didn't like, but it is when you're in a city where there is so much to do and so much to see, and just walking down the streets and the people, and most of the time everybody's friendly, or at least not rude most of the time.
Most of the time.
Not all the time, because Americans aren't very well liked over there. I will tell you that. But it's so interesting. We even went to one of these underground jazz clubs.
Oh, cool.
And it was like, shoulder to shoulder, wall to wall. When you went in there, it was like, I didn't know it was going to be that packed. I didn't know they could fit that many people into this small space.
There's no personal space in Europe either. So.
But it was filled with 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds. And this is like old school jazz. These men that are on stage are in their 70s and they're playing, and you've got all these kids out, and they're just, it was so fun and interesting. And doing all the things, like when you go to the shows like Moulin Rouge, I mean, the shows are late. They're very late, They have dinner at 9 p.m.
Yes.
That's when, if you get the dinner ticket, it's dinner at 9 p.m. And then the shows are after. So it's very cool. There's a lot to do. When you're in a city where there's a lot to do, I think it's fun.
Oh, yeah. Yes. You can't. We were there 4 days maybe total on the trip. So we went all the way. We went around France, but we were in Paris for 4 days total. And there was no way in hell you were going to see everything.
Oh, no. I was there for 9 days
Yes, that's what I was getting ready to ask how many.
9 days this last time. The time before that, I think it was 7, and that's why we extended it to 9. Next year, we might extend it to
You're like,
10,
I need 2 weeks.
10 well, it takes that long to adjust to the time. For me, it does. Some people are... Anyway, but there is so much to do. There is so much to do and so much to see and so much good food to eat, and how could you not want to?
No, and that was the thing. And I got really lucky the one night. So I was 18. A lot of the people going were juniors. They were younger in school. and everybody took off to go get wasted because they could buy alcohol. And I walked out and our tour guide was there and she's like, where are you going? I was like, let's go walk around. I was like, everybody took off. She's like, you're hanging out with me tonight. And I hung out with her and her friends who were from Paris. And so we went to a local cafe that wasn't very like well known by the tourist section. And we walked around and it was really cool because we treated it at their, like the Parisian pace, not the Americans trying to see everything or going to the touristy spots. She was like, no, you gotta go to cafes. We're gonna turn, no, the good ones are up here. These are the ones we don't tell the tourists about. And it was awesome to just see that because I had fun sitting in a cafe and watching everybody go by.
Oh yeah, for
I'm
sure.
like, this is super interesting.
It's one of my favorite parts, sitting in the restaurants and I'm just going to say again, eating the food. Like the food there is so unbelievable. And then you come home and that's what makes me sad. I come home to this food, like even the Starbucks there, even McDonald's there has different food. I don't eat McDonald's, but you walk by and you see the signs and they had some kind of like veggie chicken patty there that they don't sell in the US here. And the Starbucks, I mean, every time I would go into a Starbucks, I would video the case of food that they had. I mean, they have so much amazing,
and it's better.
And it's delicious too, but they don't know what a chocolate cream cold brew is and they don't know what a pink drink is. So that made me sad there.
But I'll tell you, we noticed that when we were in Cardiff though, like the only thing we had to watch for that we didn't like was all of the vegetable based meat products or whatever you want to call them, the impossible meat products. Those tasted kind of like crap in my opinion. Some of them that we had, because we had a lot of teens, so they all wanted chicken strips. But the bread product, like I didn't go into a single restaurant where I had an oven, like a pre-made oven baked pizza. It was all fresh stretch dough, and their dough is processed differently. It was like
the flours
everything.
Are different.
I detoxed a lot off caffeine because you couldn't get some of the crazy amounts of caffeine there that you can here because they're like, no, it's bad for you. We don't allow it.
You can in Paris.
Oh yeah, well you could get some stuff.
You can get all the espresso you want in Paris.
Well, no, you get espresso, but you couldn't get like the rock stars and stuff where they have 300 milligrams. Couldn't get that stuff.
Oh, you
over
drink
there.
those?
Ghost, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I have a caffeine
really?
problem. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm super healthy on every aspect but caffeine, and I've got to take some time to like.
Is it caffeine or is it those drinks? Because could you swap that out with something else?
Oh, yeah, it's caffeine.
It's caffeine.
It's caffeine. Speeds my brain up. Yeah, because we were just in Atlanta and I couldn't get anything. And I was like, 4 shots in that coffee, please. The lady's like,
okay.
4? I'm like.
Because some people, it's like the actual, like they like those drinks.
No, I don't like those drinks at all. We had to get a canned energy drink down there. I try to do like powders or supplements for caffeine and stuff because I don't like burping up the drinks. But I just got coffees. I was like, I don't do coffee here. I don't even know why I don't anymore. I used to do coffee, but if we travel, I was getting espressos and stuff because I was like, I need the kick. Yeah. But I've got to clean off the caffeine. But Europe, like when we came back, we ate breads. We ate things that we normally don't eat here. It felt great.
Yes.
First day back, we got back late. We swung through, grabbed Mexican, went home, ate it. Absolutely. And not fast food from a restaurant, but we had the chips with it. Absolutely. Next morning, me, my wife, and kids all felt sick, upset our stomachs. Yeah. Whereas the whole time we were in Europe, we ate bread, chips, whatever. We weren't bloated. We didn't feel bad. When people wonder why we have such a problem with health.
Our foods are so processed and full of chemicals. That is correct. That is correct.
Everything is bad. And when you go into anywhere to eat, I think a lot of people are under misconception too. Like I helped manage a restaurant in my early 20s. So I understand like a truck pulls up. Most of the restaurants, it's all frozen. It's just a higher grade than what you get at the store to put in your own freezer when you just throw it in the air fryer. Like most of it's not fresh. Now, I'm not saying all restaurants. I'm saying just most of it's not fresh.
A lot of restaurants.
Yes.
Yes.
And people, I don't think, realize that. Whereas over there, we were getting much fresher food with way less processing. And we just felt better. Yes. It was, and all the walking. The walking was great. Yes. I loved all of it. It was a little rough some nights because we'd walk, compete, train, and then a ton of walking back. But at the same time, you just felt the fresh air just was good. And we lose that over here. But again, the food is just, our food source is killing us.
Yes.
And anybody, it's like, it's not, no, BS. I'm telling you, It's terrible.
Yes. If you clean up your diet, you'd be surprised how much better you feel. But then how do you clean up your diet? Because it's literally so many things. It's almost everything that you eat. And it's where do you go? How do you get the fresh food? So my daughter does this. I don't know what company it is, but they come and they do different like stops, different pickup locations where she'll get like the grass-fed beef
cool.
and the certain eggs, and she'll get like the raw milk and the raw cheeses. And sometimes she'll say, hey, they're doing a drop at 5:30 by your house. Can you run over? They have an order with my name on it. And so sometimes I'll go grab those for her, but it's hard. Like, where do you go? Like, what do you do? Like, how clean is clean? Like, do you have to go to Fresh Time and only buy organic then? Because
but then the organic stuff, if you dive into that, organic's not always organic. Like there's gray areas in that stuff too.
And
with
now
the big
I read
companies.
something that said that they're putting vaccines in the meat.
Oh, they're giving them to the cows. Yeah,
They're
I haven't went down that rabbit hole.
I haven't either. I just read that and I was like, you know what? I'm just glad I don't eat meat because I'd like to see them put a vaccine in a green pepper, please.
Yeah, there you go.
you know,
it's crazy though, the
like,
food
what?
source and the stuff
What is
and
going on?
the fact that so many people are ignorant to it because it would just be harder. Like
It's not just that though. It's what you've learned. It's how you grow up.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even change my diet until my kids were younger, and one of my daughters got very ill, and we thought, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? What can we do? And one of the things that we ended up doing was changing the way that we eat to help support her immune system so she could get better. But before that, for 30 years, I was just one of those people because that's just the way it is. You don't know anything else. You don't know anything different. You don't know anything better. And, like if you go to the grocery store and it says on a package of meat, gluten-free, my husband laughs because he's been gluten-free since he was a child because he actually has celiac disease.
Yeah, actually has it.
He actually has it since the 1970s. And so he'll walk in and people don't even know what gluten is. And they just see the label that says gluten-free.
Oh, it's healthy.
It's on meat. Well, there was never gluten in meat,
no.
ever. And they just put that on there to make it sound better because Americans don't know. We just don't know. You're not educated on it. Your family doesn't know. It's never taught to you unless you are proactive like we had to be and go out and figure out how can we be healthier? What can I do to make my child healthier so she doesn't die?
Yes.
So it's like, unless you're faced with a very debilitating illness or something that's very chronic or a family member with something, it doesn't really open your eyes and make you think about it. That's the problem.
See, the turning point for me was we were eating clean at the house. So I was always thin. I've never wouldn't say I was in amazing shape, but I was always healthy because of my job. I was always very physically active and I taught martial arts at night. I could eat whatever I wanted. Then, I was heavy as a kid, but as an adult, I do whatever. Like my wife and I first started dating. I literally, because I was single, I owned the martial arts school. I worked all the time, fast food for breakfast, fast food for lunch, pizza for dinner, and 3 or 4 Mountain Dews in between. Oh, was not overweight.
Hurts
was not.
My stomach
I can't. I don't know how I did it.
I don't know how you did it either.
I got a soda the other day at a tournament. I think I took 2 sips. I threw it away. Just because I needed something. I was like, here, just grab dad, and it was gross. But I don't know how I live. But we had cleaned up our diet. We were eating better. My wife and I both, when we first got together, gained some weight. And I remember we had an apartment in Lake St. Louis. I was like, hey, I'm going to run up. I want to make organic cookies. Like I just had a sweet tooth. I was like, I'll at least make them. They'll be organic. We'll have a little treat tonight. And they didn't have brown sugar that was not a list this long of chemicals. And I'm like, but it
should be
sugar cane and maple
molasses.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on. What? And I remember going through the bags and the chocolate chips. Everything was chemical. I couldn't read or pronounce anything in it. So is the sugar, brown sugar. And I was like, hold on. Cocoa, sugar cane, flour, butter,
2 eggs,
butter. I
I
was so blown away that I couldn't get that. And then I'm like, then when you start reading more about it, you're well, yeah, that's really odd that all the eggs are perfectly the same size, shape, cut. Like,
Mhm.
wow, it's really weird because, once we live in Troy, I've got a couple people, several people at my Taekwondo school that have chickens. So they bring me eggs all the time. They're not all the same size, same
No.
color. Nothing. It was wild. I remember it just blew my mind. And then I started, like, once I seen it, because I always fell for the low fat, gluten free, sugar free. Well, then I found out what some of the sugar free was originally created to be rat poison, and they found out it was sweet, and so that's what's in all the sugar-free drinks. And wild, just blown away how then I started training for a fight, and I was working with Jamie Spicer at Precision Fitness, and he was showing me like farm to table. That is your best outlet, like just because he educated me so much on food. It blew me away. It just absolutely blew me away. And then when I started doing farm to table, the amount I could eat paired with working out, and I was just getting in the best shape of my life. It wasn't so much a calorie issue. It was the fact the calories I were getting were just trash.
Yeah.
And it's so wild. My mom is 80. She still believes in the original food pyramid and
Oh,
different things. Like when I she called me the one day all around. I can't believe you got Ben and Jocelyn lifting weights. Oh, they're way too young. I'm like, Mom, that's all BS. As long as I'm not like having Jocelyn at 87 pounds try to squat
I was
150,
just
we're
gonna
good.
say, I was
Like,
just gonna
no,
say
she's
that.
not doing anything stupid. She's doing light weights, movement, functional training with me.
Yes.
That's good at any age. Like, but I remember when I was a kid, they said, oh no, if you lift weights before like 15, you're gonna hurt
Yeah,
yourself.
you're gonna
Yeah.
do something to your muscle or your bone
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah, bone growth. Yeah.
Yes.
My mom was like all worried. I'm like, Mom, that's all been disproven. And then there was something I posted about me and the kids and my wife. We all set these goals for summer and we're watching what the kids eat. And she was like, hey, they've got to, have this or this. I'm like, no, Mom, there was a total, like, there's a legitimate thing where the food pyramid is all BS. Like
Yes.
all the cereal you let me eat as a kid is why I was overweight by the time I was 15.
Yes.
Not nothing against her. We didn't know any better.
Yes, you just don't know any better. So when we changed our diet, my children were, my son was in elementary school, and then my two girls were in middle school. Well, 6th grade, 7th grade.
Yeah.
And we changed our diet. And we cut like everything out that you could cut, and we went vegan.
Mhm.
Like we were like hardcore, like insanity. It was nuts in our house at first, but that's how we made the shift. We were just like, we just have
Just
to
got to
do it.
do it.
My mom would come over, and once upon a time, I don't know if they do it because I don't buy them, but you used to be able to buy boxes of Hostess cupcakes in
Yeah.
like the 24 pack. She would bring a 5-pound bag of Red Vines or Twizzlers, and she would bring a box of like 24 pack and she would sneak them to my kids and tell them to hide them under the bed. And I would put the kids to bed, and then I'd hear like
Yeah.
crinkling at night. And I went up there one time, and the girls are sitting in bed at like 9 p.m. trying to go to bed, and they're eating 5 pounds of Twizzlers. And I'm like, what are you doing? And they said, Grandma gave it to us. And I said, how? When? And she's like, Grandma told us to hide it under the bed, and so we would have something good to eat because we took all of that out of the diet. And I mean, no wonder my kids were crazy for weeks. Like, and I couldn't figure it out. And it's just, but that's what my mom knew. My mom knew that these treats were okay and they were good, and kids need treats.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too. We were doing something with some people, and my son was, because he watches all these different he's only allowed to watch YouTube on our TV. They're not getting on devices, but they watch these different. He is obsessed with cooking, and we watch all these top chefs. He's got all these favorite ones. Well, they'll always try to like recreate fast food, or they'll go Nick DiGiovanni. He'll go like to restaurants and get stuff and then like break it down, like what's crap, what's not. So Ben was talking about Taco Bell, and I'm like, when you ever ate Taco Bell? When? He's like, I'm like, never. I haven't been inside a Taco Bell in 15 plus years. I was like, you've never ate Taco Bell. It was too funny because I kind of like made him feel bad because everybody was like, yeah, and they're all talking about fast food. I'm like, when? Because he said something about Burger King. Oh yeah, they got the best this. I'm like, you've never had Burger King. And he was like, I'm like, when? Like I think we stopped at a McDonald's like 3.5 years ago on the way to a tournament because we couldn't make it anymore. I'm like, we got to get some hamburgers. We're starving. We're headed to a tournament. We were going through some smaller towns. There was just nothing.
Yeah, no, there isn't. But there's always a McDonald's.
Yes. And I was like, I think it was in like Sullivan or something. We whipped off, hit the McDonald's, get it, and then regretted it all the way to the tournament.
Sure.
I was like, oh my gosh, I feel terrible. But they were like, whoa, this is so weird because they never have it.
Yes.
But it's so bad. But my in-laws used to, they would come to visit and they would pick up sparkling waters that were full of sugar and all this crap to put. It was the first thing her mom did. She's like, no, there's nothing wrong with them having this. I'm like, yes, there is. Like if they have it as a treat once in a while, it's fine, but we don't need a 36 pack of it because they're going to drink all of it.
Correct.
And, it was amazing. Like my stepson had issues with dry patches. What do they call it? Eczema. And I was like, you got to clean your diet up. You got to take
It's an
carbs
autoimmune
out.
response.
Yep.
And too many chemicals in the body.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And he would do pretty good with it at the house. He'd have little breakouts here and there, but I'm like, you need to be better with it. He'd go to his dad's for a weekend, drink soda, eat fast food all weekend. Yep. He would come home and almost look like he needed to go to the hospital. It was so bad. And he'd be like, Mom, I hurt. I need you to. I'm like, you've got to stop eating, because he was 15. He was old enough to know better at that point. Yeah. I'm like, you've got to make your food when you're there. I can't help it. If you're going to go over there all weekend, I can't help it. But he would come home so bad. I mean, head to toe, he would have to do an oatmeal bath. Like he'd have to do different things to try to get his skin, because he was coming out of it. He'd clear up for a week. He'd start looking really good, and he'd go to his dad's. He'd cover it again. I'm like, it's your diet.
Yes,
you can't have that stuff.
Interesting story. So when my daughter became ill and we cleaned up our diet, for a good part of my life, I had psoriasis.
Yes.
And I would just have these breakouts like all over my abdomen, around my back, on my arms, on my legs. And my mom had them almost her whole life, as long as I can remember back. When we cleaned up our diet and I cut out dairy, I cut out meat. I mean, we went vegan. And when I lost probably about 10 pounds in 2 months just by changing the diet, but all my psoriasis went away.
Yeah.
It was just, I hadn't had that in, I couldn't even tell you how long, for years. And I was like, and I would be on medications or put these creams on, and literally my skin cleared up and never came back.
Yep.
My girls used to have eczema. Their skin cleared up. It never came back.
Yeah, my daughter, if we travel too much where we're kind of eating out a little bit at tournaments and stuff, she'll start getting some dry patches on her belly and stuff. And as soon as we're back home where we're eating correct, we're good. Because a lot of times we can pack food, but there's sometimes, like we were just in Atlanta for 3 days, we never leave the tournament floor. It's hell. Next year, I didn't know this was like a trend now, but a lot of people have wagons with coolers. A couple of my buddies that have been really watching what they eat. I looked over, I'm like, hey, he's got a cooler of sandwiches. We used to do
that when my son wrestled. We would have a wagon with a cooler in it because we ate differently than everybody else.
Well, we normally bring a little one. Yeah.
We had a wagon with a cooler.
Yeah, well, we normally bring a little one for the one-day events, but for the bigger events, it's hell. And no, I watched, apparently they're allowing the wagons now. That's a new thing at the karate tournaments, is those pop-up wagons. I was like, I'm doing that next time. One, eating in Atlanta is so expensive. I don't mind an expensive meal if it's at a nice restaurant, but when you just go get chicken strips somewhere and it's so...
$15 for 4... Yeah.
Oh man, it was for the 4 of us to eat. Everybody got either a cheeseburger or chicken strips at Fry's, $120 at the one place by the hotel. I'm like, that's astronomical. Yeah. I don't mind a $100 meal if it's like if you're sitting down having a meal.
Yes.
But just chicken strips somewhere, it's like, good Lord.
Yeah.
But I'm excited too, because I messaged you about like restaurant recommendations, and I'm gonna plan that here in the next couple weeks.
Who are you
taking them? So it's for my leadership. So we read a book called Unreasonable Hospitality. And it's going over about how you go over and above for the customer experience. And it's a restaurant. It's in New York.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of it. It's how they got, I think, their 3rd or 4th Michelin star. And they didn't really change their food. They changed the experience. Okay. And it's all about over-the-top hospitality. And we've read the book with my teens and my leadership at the school. We've talked about stuff, but it hasn't landed really well because none of them have been anywhere where because not showing age here, but like customer service is out the window at most places. Most places just don't give a crap.
Most places and in most industries, I've found.
It's just not a thing anymore.
Because when I was doing the hoarder house, you know how many people messaged me that said that's not your job as a real estate agent?
Yeah.
Like literally.
I bet.
So, and I'm thinking it's it's the customer experience. It's how do we maximize the value for the customer
Well,
and the experience. And it's in any industry, especially in hospitality these days.
well, and that's the thing that, well, and hospitality, it's gone too. Like I remember
Yes.
watching Undercover Boss. They had a guy on there. I don't remember what he owned, but he was in the hospitality business and he was losing it over some of his call center people that were handling stuff. He's like, this is hospitality. He was losing. He's like, it's in the title. He was so upset. But they, like you said, the customer experience. People don't understand that. They get so focused on the dollar, they forget about the customer experience. And I've been trying to teach my staff, we're doing a customer experience. When the child comes in the door with their uniform off, hey, mom, you sit down. I'll take them, help them get their uniform on. Hey, how was your day? Like, that's part of the experience. Not stand on the mats and let mom shuffle around with all of her crap. And
When
yes,
they've got a baby in tow and a bag
yes,
and
yes.
the kid.
Even if it's an older
yes.
kid and mom's carrying all their stuff, yes, she shouldn't carry all their stuff. She should make them responsible. But our job at the customer experience, and I realize like I've talked to them about it and we've read books and I've given speech, we've done it, but I'm like, they need to experience it. The trouble is, where do you go? Because it's missing from so many places.
It is missing. And I'm not, so I don't eat out much.
Yeah.
So like talking about fast food, I couldn't even tell you where people,
Yeah.
I'll talk to people and they'll be like, oh yeah, you know that Wendy's over there. I didn't even know there was a Wendy's there.
Yeah,
like,
me either.
I had no clue.
My kid
And
said that the other day. He's like, yeah, they're up at Taco
by
Bell.
it like 5,000 times and I didn't know it was there because it's just not on my radar.
Yeah.
And the same with restaurants. My husband and I, we're trying to get out a little bit more, especially since we started going to Paris and we'll come home and because we love going out and all of the restaurants there. I mean, hospitality in Paris it's
totally different.
It's totally different. It's
In
another
Europe
level.
in general, it's a different
It is
level.
just another level, generally speaking, unless they don't like Americans. But
Yes.
and so we come home and then we're like, okay, we have to go out. We have to find a restaurant. Let's go to some restaurants. Let's have date night. And so we started doing that more. But I couldn't even really tell you where the best restaurants for hospitality are in St. Louis.
Not in St. Louis. That's the hard part. Like my wife and I
I'm
went.
sure there are a few. I mean, there was a really nice French restaurant, and I think it was over in Clayton, maybe Demond, somewhere in that area that we ended up going. And then there are probably
I know the exact. I think I painted that plaza one time. There's
there
a
are
French
few.
place that's really
there
nice.
are a few likely around town. I mean, I've been to some restaurants where I've thought the hospitality would be better, but it wasn't.
That's the thing I've noticed. Like I've been to places that were really nice that had good hospitality. Like it was what it should be in general, not what it should be for that price point. For the fact that my wife and I to eat dinner was $250 or whatever.
Sure.
Like it should have been, it was good. Like they were friendly, they were knowledgeable, but it wasn't exceptional.
Correct.
And the one thing they talk about in that book is being over the top. And it's so much about the customer and the human experience.
That is correct.
And I've had people come in and talk. I had a lady on the podcast recently, and her and I talked off podcast about the human experience and how, because she does a lot of energy work and different things, and how
I have a
we're
friend that
beings.
does that. Yes.
And I realized that I've talked a lot. I need to show them by going. So just has it. We're going to go down tour First Form. First Form has amazing customer service, but the best way I could think to do it was a restaurant where they're, foom, napkin across your lap, and do you need anything else? Oh, here, let me get you a fresh fork. Let me, like, over the top, so they really could, like, I've seen that, I've experienced it, but it was years ago, or it was outside of the state. My wife and I went up to Chicago. Where we go for like one night, 2 nights, ate at a couple different places, exceptional. Now I remember the food was exceptional. I remember the customer service was good. It was they were friendly, they were nice, but it wasn't wow. I managed a restaurant and I had 2 servers that were like lifetime servers, and they were, at Christmas, people brought them gifts. They were exceptional. They were over the top with things. Their customers never had a problem. But these younger generations, they've never seen it. They DoorDash everything. They don't know what it's like, and the DoorDash, like I yelled at Bella the one night at the school. I'm like, what are you doing? Where are you going to that car? She's like, well, it's my DoorDash. I'm like, they're going to steal you. I walked out there and stood, was like, yeah, give her food. I'm like, and she was 16 because that's why she DoorDashed it. And I'm like, walk out strange cars like that, because they just get out and like set it on the curb for you. Like that experience is gone. Yeah. Like you said, people why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? You're their agent. You're helping them sell. It's part of your your process.
Well,
You're working through it.
so as a business owner, you have to decide, I mean, are you selling a product? Are you selling a service? Are you selling both? When people hire you or pay you for something, and they compare you, they're comparing it doesn't matter three painters in a row.
Yes.
Right? Part A, B, and C. They're looking at price, but what if painter B has the most experience?
Yes.
And they are the higher price? You're paying not just for the actual service of the painting, you're paying for their experience to do it right the first time. Because I actually got burned with a painter last year. It was a mess. It was just a nightmare, ruined. And because I understand it for my own business, but then when somebody says, "Oh, I can do this," you have the same expectation for A, B, and
you
C,
expect it, yes.
and you don't understand that you're not going to get the same level of experience and service with A, B, and C.
Yes.
So you need to figure out which one you're A, getting the great service for, and B, getting the best experience and knowledge. So
Yes.
it's just different. You have to think about it. And even I mean, in my tagline, Kathi McKenzie, exceptional homes, remarkable service. Like,
Yes.
that's what I do. And I didn't think about that when I was hiring a painter. I'll think about it every single time now for everything.
And that's why when I was really building up the company, I worked for so many realtors because I would tell them, you get me. I'm going to take care of your customer. My office is going to answer all their 900 questions about it. You're not going to get bothered. I said, the only time you'll get bothered is like I have a lady I painted for several times, had a customer call me and goes, "I want the closets dark gray." I said, "You want what?" "Yeah, I want the closets dark gray." I was like, "But you're selling the house." I was like, that's
light, bright, and white.
I was like, "That's not a good idea." I was like, "Cool." I was like, "No problem." And I went out, I was like, "Hey, hate to bug you, but you may want to, stop this real quick." Or you go in there like, "I've always wanted a teal accent wall." Not in the house you're selling, you don't.
No.
Like, your agent's going to drop kick you. Like, you need to
Yes.
listen. And I would tell them that, and I was listed on so many sites because of that, because they could say, "Here, Matt, let me know when it's done." And we would take care of the customer. The trouble with a lot of industries, or one thing that we found, is the under 30 crowd was just shopping price because they hadn't been burned yet. They didn't know. And so they would always, "Oh man, the guy that was just here was cheaper." Awesome. Did he have his anklet on? Is he on parole? Like, what's he, and I would get so many calls, "We should have went with you." And I had learned that I wanted to focus on and that's where I'm at the martial arts school, is like, I understand that people pay for the customer experience too. If you want good rates and you want to make a good living, you have to have a good customer experience. You can't just, you talk to people all the time, they just want to raise their price or they want to charge where I'm not charging enough. Well, but what are you giving them back? And I've been explaining that to my instructors, that they don't care if their kid has the best front snap kick in town. Their children have fun and enjoy it. And
they won't want to come back the next week.
Yes. And when they're walking in and they're juggling all their stuff and we're like, "Hurry up, buddy, come on." And we're, say they walk in karate school A, and karate school A is like, "All right, come on, get on the mats." And the instructor starts class 5 minutes late and the kids aren't ready and they didn't help you tie their belt and you're juggling all their crap. Or they come in school B, where when they walk in the door, it's like, "Oh, hey, ma'am, we'll get that for you. Come here, Billy." Tie their belt, get them ready. They're on the mats. Class starts on time. Class is fun. Kids are hyped. Which one are they going to pay more for? Well, they're going to pay more for the one where they felt they had the best experience.
Yes.
You're going to have people that are just looking for cheap, whatever. You're never going to get rid of that.
That is correct.
But that's why I've been looking for places to take my leadership for them to, because we've demonstrated on the mats, we've talked to them, but I can tell it's just like they think they get it, but it hasn't clicked at what they're doing. And a lot of it's because they're young. They're not adults yet. They're high school age. They don't understand, us as parents understand what it's like dragging a kid in and you've got a baby in tow. You've got a bag, your phone's ringing. You've had a hell of a day. They just spilled something in the car. And now the karate instructor's going, "Come on, Billy, why aren't you in your uniform yet?" Blah, blah, blah. You want to stab them. You're like, "Listen, we're here." As parents, we get that. That parent is here. Let's give them a hand. You never know. Maybe it's a single mom. Maybe no one is there to help her. Maybe dad doesn't know better because, I get dads all the time that walk in. They're like, "I don't know.
Yes.
What to do." But mom sent them up there, said, "Take the kid to karate." They're like, "Where's karate? I've never been."
Yes.
Help them. Get them up. Walk them up to the front. Here's how we logged a kid in. Here's how we, be helpful.
Yes, because
And
it's never about the transaction. It's always about the client.
yes.
And when you think about it, and that's how I run my business.
Mhm.
Anybody who knows me, it's never about the transaction. It's always, I actually had a client yesterday tell me that she wanted to raise the commission another 0.5% to compensate me for everything that I'm doing
Mhm.
because I am doing more. And I told her, no, the contract is the contract, and I will perform according to the contract.
Yeah.
And I will do even whatever needs to be done. It doesn't matter. And that's just the way that it is. And so most other agents, A, either wouldn't do what I do, or B, they would say, sure, let me send you an amendment over
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
take
yeah,
that
yeah.
extra commission. You're right. I am doing a good job. No, I said, no, this is what we agreed to. And this is how I do my job. I mean, for the last 3 weeks, I have been working from basically
You've been going.
5 a.m. until midnight some nights. I'm putting in it's also busy real estate season, but I'm putting in 10, 12, 15, 18-hour days. Yesterday, 7:30 in the morning, I started working. At 10 p.m., I shut my computer.
Woo.
And the day before that, Tuesday, I was out the door at 6:30 in the morning. I went to bed at midnight. I mean, and sometimes it just is like I get a 2-hour nap and it's a continuation.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
it's just, that's the way it is though. But, and I had an agent was like, well, I don't do that, or I don't do that. And I'm like, how do you not do that? How do you not do that?
Behind everybody that's ever said that, I've had so many people over the years, oh, I'm struggling with my martial arts school, and I'm like, oh, cool. And the more you talk to them, then you'll hear, well, I don't go up there till 4:00. I don't just, I had one tell me one time, they're just really having trouble with enrollments. And we were talking, they're like, so what do you do when a student's late? Bow them on the mats, maybe tease them a little bit. That's just because I'm sarcastic. I'll mess with them. Be like, what were you doing? But we let them on. They're like, oh, I locked the door. If you ain't here at 5:00, you ain't coming in my dojo. I'm like, does that 7-year-old drive? Like, have you ever tried to get an 8-year-old kid out of the house? And I remember laughing because behind everyone that says, I don't do this or I don't do that, you'll normally hear a story of why they're not succeeding too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never hear anyone that's very successful say, well, I don't have to stand in my ground on this.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
I mean, whatever floats your boat, right? But
whatever. No, correct.
yeah,
but
whatever floats your boat. But at the same time, you get out of something what you put into it. And I always say, life is what you make it. So what are you going to make it today?
Yeah.
So.
Well, but you also, you do the hours, you bust your butt, but then you take the time to go on the trips and have fun. I always get a kick out of that because I'll see your story and you're working out, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're cleaning a house out, and the next thing you know, beach.
Yes.
I'm like, well, dang, that transition fast.
You'll see a lot of that because this is my birthday year. So I'll be 50 this year.
Your birthday year. One of my students said that the other day. She goes, my 19th is going to be my birthday year. I'm like, you get a year?
It's my birthday year. So for me, I'm just like, the whole year is my birthday year. It's a milestone for some people. So for me, I'm thinking, okay, so we have a 4th of July week planned. And then when we come back, we're doing the first week of August. And then when I come back, I'm doing a girls trip. And I've already been to Nashville 2 or 3 times. Yeah,
so you popped up, you posted in Nashville.
We've been in Nashville a little bit too. So, I mean, this will probably...
Nashville's beautiful.
It is beautiful. So this will, from April to the end of August, I think it would be 6 vacations.
Good. Hey. You earned it. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
I have earned it, but I do bust my butt otherwise. So,
and that's the thing, though. Some people just see that. They don't see the other side of it. They don't see the long nights. They don't see all the work you do. They're just like, oh, well.
They don't see when your client has canary yellow walls. And when you send a photographer in to take photos, listing photos, what do the photographers do? They brighten the photos up to make everything look great.
You just put that one in your story the other day, didn't you?
I don't know if I did that one.
Somebody I know just had a yellow house the other day in their story because I was like...
it might have had yellow walls in the story, but when I got the photos back, that yellow wasn't just yellow. It was
glowing.
It was glowing. So I sat, and that's why I was up till midnight the other night. I sat editing every single one of the... I had to take the one of the one of the photo settings, the saturation.
Yes, and turn it.
You turn the saturation down. I had every single one of those photos. I was like, and then one room is like an aqua blue, but it wasn't just aqua blue. It was Aquaman blue, as if you were in Aqua World itself. And I had to take all of those
Awesome.
photos, and I'm like lowering the saturation on every single one of those because it doesn't really look like that when you walk in the door. And photos are how you get people through the door. So as good as the photos were, the walls were a little much. So, but it's those kinds of things, because I'll have agents that'll just throw stuff. I'll see it on there and I'll be like, ooh,
why'd you do that?
No, that could have been a simple 15-minute fix. And I guarantee you're not getting showings because of
we almost
because
didn't
of that.
buy our house where it's at. I got really lucky that my agent that I was using at the time knew the subdivision and goes, trust me, Matt. I was like, no, I looked up picture. It looked like shit. I was like, it looks terrible. I was like, there's no way. I said, backyard looks horrible. She goes, the guy, I don't know what the deal was. He took him with his cell phone. They were horrible. Like it didn't show. We walked in the house. I was like, give me a contract. She goes, I knew you'd want this house, but I literally had scrolled past it numerous times. And she's like, let's go. Let's just humor me and go look at it. I'm like, I'm telling you, picture it. It's terrible.
Yes. If you have a good agent.
Best house I looked at.
Yes. The agent will tell you. I mean, the pictures will draw people in the door, because if they don't like them, they won't go to see it. But if you have a good agent, the good agent will tell you, go and look anyway, because you'll either love the house more than the photos, or you won't like it as much as you'll either hate it or you'll love it. Like, it'll be one or the other. And it will never be what the photos are.
No.
I mean, my photos are phenomenal. They're amazing. I mean, I have the best real estate photographer in St. Louis, and he makes everything, even the bright canary yellow. I mean, he makes everything look wonderful, and I will get people in the door. That's why an agent said to me, Kathi, how long do your listings sit on market? My listings don't sit on market because my photos look good and we're priced right, and we get the multiple offers and we go under contract and everything is wonderful. Whereas other agents have listings that sit, but stage, tweak it, get a better photographer. I mean, do something, and there's always something else that you can do. And it's just about making that other smaller effort.
It is. And I think that's something everybody forgets. We see the reels, we see the Facebook stories, we see things, but people don't realize the effort that some of these people put in, the sleepless nights that maybe they lived at their office, or the extra effort they take in just caring that little bit extra, and just feeling a little bit more proud about what you do. I spoke in a coaching group the other day about posting on social media more. And I'm like, if you guys are proud of what you did, it's easy. I was like, I'm proud of everything I do, so I'm happy to post
easy.
away.
Literally pick up a camera and just start
it's super
talking.
easy. I was like, I'm proud of what I do. I say I'm excited about it. If you're not doing something you're proud of, then I understand struggling. Like, I get it. So if somebody wanted to find you, as we kind of wrap this up, and book you as where do they find you? What's the best place to get you at? I'll tag you and
just
everything.
Google my name. Just Google my name. It's Kathi, Kathi McKenzie, realtor or real estate agent.
And everything pops up.
And everything pops up. You'll see my Instagram, my Facebook, my TikTok, my YouTube. You'll see my real estate page. Yeah, it's just Kathi McKenzie Realtor. Just Google me.
It's easy to find. And you gotta, that's the other thing. You gotta have that stuff. It's just, that's this day and age. So, well, awesome. It was awesome having you on again. I'm glad you could make time to come in and chat.
I appreciate
fun
it.
as usual.
Always love chatting with you.
Awesome.
Great conversations.
Thank you.
Yes.